Over these last weeks and maybe months, the question has arisen several times: what is it that lies beyond Satchitananda? What is this place? Where are we when the three levels of mind or existence are merged in the presence, the stillness of the moment? And these three levels of mind are movement. Existence is movement. What is this place? Where are we? What is it that lies beyond Satchitananda, existence, knowledge and bliss? Someone asked Mulla Nasruddin one day, "Mulla, what is fate?" And the Mulla said, "When things turn out the way you want them to be, that's destiny. When they don't turn out the way you want them to be, that's misfortune. And when they're neither one nor the other, that's fate." The king of Bukhara was visiting a neighboring realm, but on his way back to his kingdom, he encountered a very severe storm, so he found that he had to take refuge in a very small, out-of-the-way inn. And as he was tossing from side to side on the hard bed during the night, he heard a voice, and it said, "A child has been born, and it will not live." And then another voice, seeming to come from another place in the room, said, "A child has been born, and it will be murdered by its father." And then another voice from another place said, "A child has been born, and when it grows to manhood, it will kill the king of Bukhara, marry his daughter, and take over his kingdom." So the very next morning, the king had his soldiers go out into the village of that place to find a child that had just been born. Now it so happened that this village was inhabited by a number of old people, but indeed a child had been born several weeks beforehand. So the king, with his soldiers, went to the house of the parents of this child and said, "Give me your child. I'll give you 1,000 dinars, but if you don't give me this child, I will have you all killed." So of course the parents were very, very afraid and handed over the child to the king. Now, with the child under his arm, riding off back towards his palace, he came to a ravine. So he tossed the child over the ravine. But as fate would have it, there was a field of wheat that had grown to maturity at the bottom. So the child landed unharmed and was found by a worker in the wheat field, who took the baby home. And as happenstance or fate would have it, that there was a woman who had just not long before given birth and was able to suckle the child. So this boy, who they called Saughat, because Saughat meant gift, grew to be a handsome, strong young man. And he was apprenticed to a confectioner in the village, one who made halwa and other sweetmeats. But he would always tell the story of how he was saved to all and sundry. And of course it very soon came to the ears of the king of Bukhara that the child he had thrown had survived. So he devised a plan. He sent a box of sweet, honeyed fruit to the confectioner's shop with the request that it be duplicated exactly the way it was. Well, as Sokhat was about to partake of this sweet meat, the owner of the shop said, "I'm the owner of this shop. I'm the one who has to have this taste and decide what ingredients and so forth are to be placed in it." And of course, he ate the sweetmeat and died. So time went on, and of course it came to the ears of the king that Sokhat was still alive. So he devised another plan. In disguise, and taking with him his groom, who was a known assassin, he came to the village of Sokhat, and he set up a little caravanserai. And he sent a message to Sokhat that he should come to the caravanserai in the dark of night. And the king in disguise gave instructions to his groom that whoever came in the middle of the night was to be murdered immediately. Well, as fate would have it, the king heard a kerfuffle in the stables during the night, and thinking that Sokhat had been summarily disposed of, he came out to fall on the knife of his groom and died, because Sokhat had not received the message. So, playing as we do with the alchemy of these stories, the question is asked of you. How would you end this story, and why?
You may create a different ending.
What is the ending that you would give to this story? And why?
Because his destiny then would be that he would go, just like at the beginning of the story, and take over the king's kingdom and marry the princess, and because that would be the destiny, his destiny.
Yes.
What else?
And happily ever after.
Yeah. And have many sons.
Because the king didn't die the way the story said he would at the beginning.
No.
Which is fascinating. So when you talk about those three things at the beginning,
That's right.
and so it didn't, it ended up being fate that killed it.
Wouldn't it be like those voices, I mean, they're just voices. He made something of them.
You're right.
And by making something of them, he actually created exactly what unfolded after.
You're right.
So it's not to say that those voices were real at all in the beginning, or that that person was ever going to be anything.
Absolutely. So that being so, how would you end this story?
A good way to end it would be the king staying alive but learning his lesson,
Uh-huh.
and Sokhat coming to the kingdom and marrying the princess and living the life he was
Alright.
destined to live.
Mhm.
That would have been a good ending, because then everyone would have been happy ever after. So
Okay, so how does this relate to this question, where are we? What is this place that's only in the present, which is stillness? And the three levels of existence, of mind, are merged in that presence. How does this story and fate, destiny, and the elements of it relate to this question, where are we? What is this place that lies beyond Satchitananda, or beyond existence, or the mind?
When you go beyond, listening to stories and beyond the current knowledge that's in existence, and beyond the bliss that comes as a result of that, or whatever it is, then you can move into silence and see actually what is actually happening, rather than what is perceived to be happening.
All right, but we're talking about the end of a story now. Now,
Well, is it like, but now there's no such thing for us as fate.
all right. That's right.
Somehow, to me, it relates to the story you told the other day, because I've been chewing over that story ever since Sunday. And when I thought about the story that you told on Sunday, what came to me was that the only thing that really mattered in that whole story was that he acted and went on a quest. Because everything else just happened from there.
Right.
Whether this happened or whether that happened, there was a movement from that stillness out, and everything came from there. And in this story, it seems to be the same sort of thing, that there is the I don't know what I'm saying really, but there's experience of that stillness in the moment, and then there's the action outward.
Okay.
I don't know that I can say much more that's useful.
Yes.
What comes to me is creativity.
Is
Some
what
sort of creation.
Think about it, the story after that is just being killed. So we have our life as destiny. Sometimes we see as misfortune, but we choose in those moments which create our fate, and we can only really be alive in this moment. So our past and our future is not really as important as this moment. So that King, in essence, he created all of this stuff by his choices, but if he wasn't so worried about his future or the past, he just in the moment.
All right.
So
All right.
So the moral of our story, or the story, ends with our life is destiny, and we may see some of it as misfortune, but ultimately we have fate in our moment. Without being
Yes.
that moment.
Yes.
We also know that the inner, based on that, the inner attracts the outer. And so according to your inner state, you'll attract that from the outer. And so going beyond all those three is an interesting state of mind.
Yes.
So that would be very interesting to see what that would attract.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it a state of mind, though, to be beyond the three?
Absolutely.
Not Satchitananda, is it a state of mind at all?
Absolutely it is, because mind is present, mind is existence, isn't it? So we cannot be beyond mind as such, even though we use those words. But we can allude to it as a place, isn't it?
I liked some of the symbology in it, that it was like the child being the innocence, and I mean, what came to me was that just with the different threads of the story, it was like through that innocence, or that openness, I suppose, then we can have a sacred marriage, and it actually slays the false king as such.
All right.
To become
Yes.
our true
If you
self.
look at it at that level, as we can and understand the stories, we can look at Sogard really as being that, because he was totally innocent. He didn't intervene in fate in any way at all. I mean, of course, he told everyone his story, but in absolute innocence, he didn't project
He
any
had fortune,
sin.
not